Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV this beautiful Thursday night. 1 week on from the showdown at Williams Grove, we head over to Ohio at Limaland Motorsports Park for the DM Simtography Ohio Open, round 11 of the Wide Open Clothing Australian Sprint Car Championship Series by Oceanic Dirt Sim Events. This is one of the greatest short tracks I have ever had the pleasure of commentating races on. It's a full-on bull ring, and it brings the action every single time, to say nothing of those tyres you see sticking up out of the clay. Bringing it to you live here on SimSpeed TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick, whichever platform you're from. Hello, my name's Reese Gardner. Scott Rankin alongside me in the commentary box with Jay Kennedy handling production behind the scenes. Well, we're coming to quite a difficult one here, Scott. Limaland is one of those tracks that's pretty flat down low, high banking up high, and you've got to try and make sure you don't run too narrow in those corners.
Yeah, but the big thing is, and we've talked about it, is survival. So you're right, those attributes of the track, that's what make it such a unique place to come to in terms of your sim racing. But at the end of the day, if you can't survive, you can't make your way through the heats, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So first and foremost, make sure that you've done all your practice, and then just think about survival. If you're in a championship position, though, that battle's starting to get tight, and we'll talk about that sort of as everything starts to progress as well. But I think it's going to be an interesting one here tonight, Reese. You're right, a lot of banking, a lot of opportunity just to sort of the drivers to get some aid, but gonna have to survive once again, and I think that's going to be the sticking point for the season.
Well, narrow in on the Midwest of the United States. In northern Ohio, a track that is often used by the University of Northern Ohio's engineering programs, we go to Limaland Motorsports Park. Very unassuming location for one of the most iconic dirt ovals on iRacing. And one thing is for sure, the first thing that jumps out to me when I see this track is there's no interior wall. It's got barely anything separating you from the infield except for those white painted tires down on the insides of the corners. Only 480 meters long. That's just about a third of a mile, and you carry a great deal of speed around the outside of these corners thanks to the high banking.
Yeah, so get out there, rip and tear, rip it right up against that fence if you absolutely can. And that's where the fun is as well. We've seen a couple times this season drivers willing to get up there right up against the fence and how good it's worked. And then also when those bumps start to form, the track really gets ripped up. And, you know, at only 0.3 of a mile, 480 meters in length, it's in the medium sort of to smaller side. terms of things. So door-to-door, close contact racing. Again, Reese, like we just talk each and every week. This is one of the most exciting series on iRacing because you just never know what's going to happen. Anyone can win one from anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the round info for tonight. We have 10 lap heats, the top 4 from each advancing to the A main, and the C main, the B main, and the A main. It is a very typical format for this one. It's pretty much the same as was used almost every round up to this point. The top 10 on the grid for the A main will be reordered by our good friend the Spinny Wheel ahead of 35 green flag laps with a 24 car field. Seeing in the InSim text chat, a couple of happy birthdays being sent out for Bentley Summers and Lachlan Mead. If that's not banter, then well, I wish you a very genuine happy birthday, you two. Previous winners at this circuit. Well, Harry Stewart comes in as the form man at Limaland. We've had Joel Berkeley take 2 wins in 2020 and 2021. Tim Ryan on his way to the 2022 360 Power Series Championship, taking the win here. And Brad O'Brien, the one who sticks out there. Haven't seen Brad out on track in a very long time. Hopefully he makes a return soon. But yeah, Harry Stewart, he hasn't had the best of seasons in 2025, but maybe at a track like this where he's won before, we can see that spark light up again.
Yeah, always an opportunity to get out there, rip and tear, and that's the big thing. Get out there, have some fun with it, and it'd be good to see him back if he ever does look to return to the top series. This is what we're looking at, though, in the meantime. This is our championship graphics, and, well, with one drop round accounted for, have a look at the points after last week, Reese. Dead heat at the top. And we were talking a little bit earlier on in the season about how there was a couple guys starting to leap away. Well, drop rounds come back into it, and all of a sudden the field gets condensed.
Absolutely. Ethan Winter and Clayton Davies tied for the championship lead. Nathan Vanderwacker, who has had an absolutely brilliant 2025, sitting a strong third, just 38 points ahead of Bradley Oldfield there. And then we go to the championship standings with 2 drop rounds applied. Then the advantage falls to Ethan Winter there. He can drop less points than Clayton Davies has to. So he ends up with a slight advantage at this sort of mid to late point in the season. When we get to the last couple of rounds of the championship, we'll show standings with 3 drop rounds applied so that you can get the true picture for how things are going. But for now, with 2 drop rounds, we see that our top 5 rounded up by Vanderwacker, Oldfield, and Berkeley. Things are going to get very interesting here at Limaland. As you said, Scott, anyone can win, and it is time for qualifying. Let's get out there and see how fast these drivers can really go. It's a rapid lap around Limaland, only about 10.5 seconds.
Yeah, and again, we talked about that amount of banking. Guys got out there, did rip the track up just a little bit, taking a little bit of a look at Brady Baldwin at the moment as he's ripping the top step. He gets his lap in, 10.461. We'll see whether or not that's good enough at the moment. It's put 7 tenths over Nash Granger. It's gone ahead of Berkeley, so already starting to see like it's a good lap time to start the session off, so we'll keep our eyes as it all progresses. And Berkeley's not going to be able to improve on that one. Gets down to 55 thousandths. Bradley Oldfield found some time as well. Cole Ferguson and Bradley Oldfield set identical lap times down to the thousandth of a second. And when they get sub 11, it is much, much easier for those lap times to be bang on each other.
Indeed, great laps from Oldfield and from Ferguson, who runs Australian Speedway Results, the sponsor of qualifying for the 2025 ASC Series. Thank you very much for your support, Cole, and a great lap from you. But they are both demoted by Craig Dunn and Blake Walsh, who goes to the top. 10.448 is now the quick time. That's what you've got to beat, and we still have about half the field left to set times.
Yeah. By the way, we're only coming up on the halfway mark of the qualifying session, about 10 seconds from now. So Nick Ryan gets out there, keeping an eye on Ethan Winters still yet to get out and set a lap time. Seeing nothing from Mead, seeing nothing from Trey White. Clayton Davies yet to set a lap time as well. So there's a ton of the big stars all yet to get out there at the dying stages of qualifying. Brent Hobson will get out and fire it around off of the right rear. He looks set to set a speedy lap time, 5:29 for his first time. What's it going to be on lap number 2? As he lines it up, gets back to the start-finish line, gets the second lap in. Doesn't look like it's an improvement, though.
Only missed out by 100th of a second, it seems. Steve Duff going to... That's another equal time with Blake Walsh. My goodness, 10.448 from Steve Duff and from Blake Walsh. That's a magnificent run from the 015. He's been steadily improving over the course of the season, and it's great to see him there up at the top. This is going to be a big night for him if he can pull that off. Tim Ryan, meanwhile, begins his run here, and a 10.396 immediately to the top for the most successful driver in ODSE.
Yeah, minute left on the qualifying session. You quick time, Tim Ryan, 10.395. Now, can the defending champion with the number 1 on the plate step up and smash this one out of the park? Ethan Winter will build the momentum. We'll get down to 3 and 4. Wait for the first lap time. I believe he's going to try and do it on lap number 2. 10.497. Reasonable on lap number 1. Now he'll put the power down the back straightaway. Tips it into 3 and 4. 35 seconds on the session. Clayton Davies is out on track next as well. What's he able to do? Winter does improve, sorry. Goes 56 thousandths of a second off of pole position. Davies is now on the track. 25 seconds to roll.
And his first lap already a 10.4, so this could be a big improvement here. 10.488! Oh, that's not going to be quite enough there to gain any more. Only missed out by 2 thousandths of a second on improving his lap time there. So Davies and Winter not quite as far up as they wanted to be. Tim Ryan gets your quick time, but the amount of I mean, look at these gaps. This is crazy. Walsh and Duff with the same time, only 100th between Winter and Baldwin, and then we have Brian, Davies, and Ferguson each separated by 1,000th.
Yeah. Absolutely nothing in it. And then Brady Baldwin, think about him all the way back down there. You know, he's not all that far back from the pole position. Then we get outside the 10, back to 11th spot and on backwards for these guys. From Ferguson, it's going to be Colin Bocus, 96 thousandths of a second. So 11 cars covered by less than a tenth of a second. Berkeley from Noonan and Daniel Boyd, also another dead heat back there. Brenton Hobson from Zach Rattray White, the 2 multi-format stars. Lachlan Mead, Thomas Mitchell, Bentley Summers, and Darcy Wilson. So just over 1.6 tenths of a second covers your top 20.
That is crazy. Well, now we're going to get into the McSlide race heats. Tim Ryan starting on pole for the first heat of the night. Craig Dunn alongside with Bocus and Rattray White on the second row. Daniel Grimshaw and Nathan Norman are your top 6. And then we have Nick Ryan and Nick Mithen rounding out your 8 cars, ready to start the first of 5 heats that we'll be seeing here tonight. Now, Limaland is an incredibly fast track, not just in average speed, but also just in terms of lap time. It's so short. 10 laps around here is only going to take about a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's about minute 40 seconds, minute 45 seconds. We should be done in a minute 45. Basically, but that track is also going to wear and slow down quite significantly too, so it's worthwhile. Start zone is going to be tire bundles on the inside. It's the second tire from there. You can see that one just at the bottom of that picture, and then there's another one opposite the yellow cone on the exit, so you should be able to see. Didn't quite get the shot of the cone on the exit there, but rest assured there's a cone down there, so that sort of gives the drivers their best guide as to when to fire or when to expect the restart.
Yeah, so it's all down to Tim Ryan to put that power down, and Craig Dunn and Colin Bocus, as well as Rattray White, will be training their eyes keenly on the number 98 as he pulls away at the front of the field, and the first heat is go. Good run through turn 1 for Tim Ryan. A bit too low for Colin Bocus. He is stuck on the inside there. The track is still too tacky. Down low. Contact between Zach Rattray White and Nathan Norman. Norman getting sent back to 6th, 7th place. Battling with Nick Ryan. Colin Bocus still holding on to the transfer spot, but he wants to try and get up the inside of Rattray White. Here comes Dan Grimshaw to be a part of it. No! Grimshaw gets into the wall. Unfortunately, that's going to be the end of his charge for now.
Yeah, it will be for now. It's Tim Ryan looking in supreme control. Craig Dunn's going to try and track him down and go after him. Is that Brady Baldwin? Sorry, my apologies. Nick Ryan, who's having a little bit of a moment. Baldwin will be to lead us off in heat number 5. Rattray White's driven his way through to 3rd in the heat, but Ryan continues to tumble. At the moment, Bocus looks like he's got that last transfer spot locked in.
Yeah, looks like it. Nathan Norman isn't really giving him much at the moment. And you see that the line very early on is super high. There is a tiny little berm up the top that you can go over before you get into the wall proper. So you've got to make sure to ride that rim very nicely to get the fast times around here. Look at how smooth the drivers are taking these turns. It's amazing watching the amount of control these guys have over these very powerful cars. But Colin Bokus, for the meantime, is safe in the transfer. Rattray White not far ahead of him, but I'm seeing that Nathan Norman's starting to make up some ground as Tim Ryan will take the white flag and we'll get things going here for the final lap of this heat. Is there anything that Nathan Norman can do versus Colin Bokus? Tim Ryan takes the checkered. Norman tries up the inside of Bokus, but it's not enough.
No, just can't get there. Time's going to run out on that heat, so it's going to be Ryan from Dunn, Zach Rattray White, and Colin Bokus to get your transfer spots from heat number 1.
And all of the drivers who started ended up finishing as well. A very good start to the night. Well, we'll move on through very quickly to heat number 2. And this one's going to have quite the stacked top 3. Blake Walsh, Bradley Oldfield and Joel Berkeley, with Lachlan Mead joining Berkeley on row 2. Ayrton Smith and John Schultz are 5th and 6th, and then our field rounded out by Matthew Stables and Nash Granger. They'll be wanting to work their way up here. They know that they're capable of it. Get into that top 4, you can avoid the rigmarole of the alphabet and the potential to drop out of the night altogether. Finish in the top 4, and that is your spot in the feature secured.
Yeah, that's the big thing, isn't it? Finish inside that top 2, you got a chance of improving your grid spot as well, as we'll do the redraw later on for your top 5, and then from 6 through 10 to get through the feature. And a big shout out to everyone watching us right throughout the SimSpeed network as well.
Absolutely. Wherever you are in the world, if you've dropped in on this live broadcast, thank you so much for being here with us. And if you're catching this later on the replay, thank you very much for clicking. We really appreciate every single viewer here on SimSpeed TV. And it's a pleasure for us to bring this fantastic sprint car action to you. ODSE, the top organising body for virtual dirt racing in Australia and New Zealand. And we have a great roster of drivers in this championship, even a few internationals as well. But Blake Walsh is going to lead us away for the start of Heat 2. And it's pretty level between himself and Oldfield initially. That was a good getaway from Oldfield. Big slide from Walsh. 3 wide for the lead as we get into turn 3. Joel Berkeley sweeping through to the lead, but then Walsh comes back round the top.
He's going to get checked up here. Here comes the slide jump. Completes it from Berkeley. Shoves across the nose of Blake Walsh. Walsh will be forced to try and maintain the momentum. Now he's got clear at the front. Is this going to be a shoe set from Berkeley? You bet your bottom dollar it is. Bottom to top. Gets it back in there. Here comes Bradley Oldfield as well. He'll get to the inside and try to wrap the bottom. Now he's starting to find a little bit of a turn of speed. And all the slide jobs, all the momentum trading, all that's done is packed them all back up again and made them vulnerable because Ayrton Smith is in the transfer spot.
I wasn't ready for this amount of action. Heat 1 was very tame compared to this. Matthew Stables and Lachlan Mead trading spots there for 5th. And now Ayrton Smith will see them creep up on him, and he'll be hoping as well that the top 3 keep fighting like they are, because they're trading spots every single corner here. Walsh still leads, but Berkeley and Oldfield are going to attack him at every opportunity. There goes Berkeley again with the slide job up the inside. Walsh going to cut back at him down low. Man, it's so hard to keep that momentum up when you go for the slider. Oldfield just needs to pick his moment, and he might have this.
Yeah, well, Blake Walsh has now been chalked off, and he's starting to struggle in terms of momentum. We'll get back to the stripe. There'll be 2 more laps left to run. Oldfield has managed to slip back to 3rd spot, and Berkeley showing that experience. He's managed to get it ahead of this thing. Now, forget it. You might not see another taste of that front spot. Berkeley takes the white flag. 1 more lap left to run. He's got control of this one. Oldfield's going to have a real royal crack at Blake Walsh. Walsh is going to go to the bottom to cover him off. Forced to cut down there to handle Oldfield. Joel Berkeley takes the win in heat number 2. And Blake Walsh does not manage to convert pole position from the heat. And I tell you what, it's Berkeley from 3rd spot on the grid, by the way, to take that heat win. That was bang on. That was racing. Lachlan Mead qualified 4th. He won't transfer through, but it's Ayrton Smith who grabs one from 5th spot. He will get in the transfer. Matthew Stables, John Schultz, Nash Granger, and Mead to round out the heat.
Yeah, that's the kind of aggression that you need to succeed at Limaland. Great job from everyone involved there. Now we move through to Heat 3. Steve Duff, his great qualifying performance, puts himself on pole position for this one alongside Paul Bryan, with Kobe Noonan and Thomas Mitchell on row 2. Gowans and Oliver are your top 6. Cameron De Bruin and Jaden Russell round out your field. And Jaden Russell there in particular, one driver who's looking for a clean break at some point this season. It's been mighty rough there for the Synergy number 27.
Yeah, he just cannot take a trick at the moment. If he qualifies for a feature, he's out and over the fence. He's not putting points on the table. If he doesn't qualify for a feature, he tries to come through the alphabet. Maybe he might have a reasonable run. Gets the feature, something goes on. He just can't string results together. At the moment, it's the big thing. But this is a huge opportunity for Steve Duff. If he can translate this one, he can run it. But I tell you what, Reese, so far, it's been that outside car on the front row. It gets down to turn 1. And they send a big old slider, and there's not much that the pole position driver can really do. There's not enough momentum, it feels like, when they get to 1 and 2 on the first laps, and maybe even defending from the bottom on lap 1 is the best thing to do. But then the top's where you want to be.
Yeah, you got to defend, I suppose, into turns 1 and 2, and then try to get up to the top as quickly as you can. Stymie the run of those behind. Well, here they come. Steve Duff leads us away, and green flag flies in Heat 3. Immediately down low is Kobe Noonan to try and take a spot, but Paul Bryan will hold strong up the top. There's contact in the midfield there. Thomas Mitchell and Jaden Russell falling to the back of the field there, and Jaden Russell is already out. His bad luck continues. That's such a shame. We fall our way back to the front, though. Have a look at the run that Bryan is getting round the top here, and it looks like he's even faster than Duff at the moment.
Well, he's just forced Steve Duff to cover him off. Steve Duff's forced to go to the middle groove and try and cover him off. Now momentum's going to come the way of Paul Bryan. Here comes the slider. He'll send it from bottom to top. Duff's forced to rotate it underneath him. Can he send it one back for himself? Yep, he will. He'll trade it back. Level Pettings. They're nearly level at the start-finish line, and here comes the reply from Bryan.
Kobe Noonan right in there as well. Matthew Gowans making himself a factor here. Paul Bryan and Steve Duff locked together in the battle for the lead. But Kobe Noonan and Matthew Gowans and the white and blue cars, respectively, are finding their way right into this podium battle. They've got to be sure not to come together, though, because they make a mistake, they fall back. Cameron De Bruin and James Oliver are right there to take advantage.
And Steve Duff found some real good turn and some real good speed in that middle groove in 1 and 2. So I reckon the middle's the place to be. Have a look at how he turns it down the track. Nearly drives it off nice and smooth. See how slick it is up in the high line as they get off of 1 and 2. And Bryan just refuses to lift. He is going to continue to stay on the top. The problem with that middle groove is one mistake, you'll lose all your momentum, and you take so long to build it back up.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of rotation required on the way into the corner as well. White flag is out. And Paul Bryan has a commanding lead at the moment. I think Duff will have to settle for second here and guard off against a run from Gowans or Noonan. Bryan takes the checkered flag ahead of Duff and Gowans, and James Oliver sneaks by Kobe Noonan at the last possible moment and takes the fastest lap of the race on the way.
Yeah, and there's nothing in between those two guys. And there's an issue, though, for James Oliver. He's going to get black flag for the incident involving Jaden Russell. So that is the driver that caused that issue, which Race Control got to that one just in time to handle that penalty out and make sure that he's going to have to fight his way through the alphabet. So Noonan gets re-promoted. Paul Bryan takes the heat win from Steve Duff. Matthew Gowans gets through. And Kobe Noonan. All those guys are going to transfer straight to the feature.
They are indeed. Great run from them. Now it's time for Heat 4, and the heavy hitters are here. Top 2 in the championship, Ethan Winter and Clayton Davies are your front row, with Daniel Boyd and Bentley Summers on row 2. Bailey Leeson and Paul Ward round out your top 6. Then it's Hayden Vickers and Oscar Ames who find their way to the back row. Get things rolling. 2 more formation laps around Limaland, and after that we'll only have 1 more heat to go. This night is moving very quickly indeed, but how quick will the getaway be from Ethan Winter? Because I know Clayton Davies is going to give him one heck of a race.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one, isn't it? And this could be a fight that we see. Could this be sort of the scheduled forecast? A little bit of foreplay before the feature later on tonight. And you get to see these guys go toe-to-toe yet again. Ethan's going to lead them to the restart zone. Here we go, Reese.
Here we go indeed. Make one more tour around behind the iRacing pace truck.
Sometimes you just get a little bit excited. I was ready for a restart right there.
Yeah. I miss 2 formation laps not being mandatory on short ovals. Definitely got the night moving very quickly. It was nice, but regardless, we do have a bit more momentum to build up here before the start. High at first and then down low as Ethan Winter leads us away. Clayton Davies saw what Steve Duff was doing in the previous heat and decided to try it in turns 1 and 2. For the moment, the top 2 breaking away. It's almost 3 wide here for the last spot on the podium. Bailey Leeson trying to attack for that transfer spot. Daniel Boyd and Bentley Summers sort themselves out there as Winter and Davies jet away.
Yeah, and it's going to be that battle for the transfer spot, isn't it? At the moment, Daniel Boyd's got his way through. Bentley Summers actually looked for a switchback and tried to get down and underneath him in terms of 1 and 2. That's allowed a little bit of time gain now for Bailey Leeson as he'll crawl his way just a fraction closer. Meantime, out front, it's still just about settled between Ethan Winter and Clayton Davis. I tell you what, Leeson managed to stick it to the bottom, get a lot more rotation, got the power down, and now he's into the transfer spot as well.
Good stuff from Bailey Leeson. But will Bentley Summers have any kind of response to that? He will. Fires it up the inside there. Not quite clear enough for a slide job, but he's using the middle of the road very nicely. And it seems like in the corners, he's managing to get it done on Bailey Leeson there. The top line is starting to fall away. Oh no, contact, and Summers and Leeson get into the wall. And that's going to promote Paul Ward up to the transfer spot. Leeson's car is destroyed. Paul Ward has just had a great result fall into his hands.
Yeah, that he has. He sits inside the transfer spot across the start-finish line. There'll be 2 more laps left to run. I tell you what, there's no pressure coming from behind. I tell you who is looking good at the moment is that Paul Ward 270 car. He's starting to make time. He's going to have a crack at Daniel Boyd in the last corner. Slides it down the inside. Can't find the momentum. Can't get it done. But he will take a transfer through to the feature.
Certainly will. Checkered flag is out. Davies trying to slide her on Winter, but it wasn't enough. Ethan takes the win there with Daniel Boyd and Paul Ward rounding out your top 4. Hayden Vickers and Bentley Summers were able to make it to the finish. Unfortunately, Bailey Leeson did not with that contact with Summers. So a couple of drivers unhappy with how things went there. Oscar Ames didn't even take the start. Hopefully, we'll see him when we get to the alphabet. Time for Heat 5, last of them all. Brady Baldwin, our series organizer, is on pole alongside Cole Ferguson. Brenton Hobson going to start in 3rd alongside Darcy Wilson. Then Hadley Boyce and Darcy Walker are 5th and 6th. Rob Crawley is going to start 7th and last with Liam James sitting in race control. And now, the fight for who is going to get those last 2 spots in the feature top 10. First place from every heat gets into the top 5. Second place from each heat is positions 6 to 10 on the feature grid. And when we get to the spinny wheel, that's going to be important because the drivers from 6 to 10 are first. And they won't be able to go for a top 5 position with the redraw, but if you end up qualifying for the feature in 10th place, you could gain yourself 4 positions out of nowhere purely due to the luck of the draw.
Yeah, that's the biggest benefit, isn't it? So you want P1, P2 because you never know just what you can do with it all. And get your head down, see what you can do. Great opportunity presented to Brady Baldwin as well. He's lined it up. He's done qualifying well. Cole Ferguson's going to have a huge opportunity from that outside. I tell you what, the heats, we sort of had a stacked heat and then a lesser heat, stacked heat and then a lesser heat, just about right the way throughout the heats thus far. And that just makes me question, we're going to see some new names inside that top 10, new names having their best qualifying performance and heat run so far. I think we might have just lost Cole Ferguson, actually.
Oh.
No, he's back, he's back.
Oh, that's a bit of a scare there for Cole Ferguson. Sorts it out right before we get to the call of the green flag. Baldwin accelerates away. And we have green flag on. That's a great drive out of the corner from Cole Ferguson. I almost thought he was going to go up the inside of Baldwin on the entry, but how about entry into the next couple of corners? Ferguson to the inside, and he's trying to keep the momentum up. It looks like the bottom line's starting to get a bit better now. Baldwin struggling for average pace there.
Yeah, I think the big thing is the top line has gone away. Down in 3 and 4, Baldwin's actually making a fair bit of time. And have a look at where the start-finish line's placed as well. Momentum will count when you get all the way down there, but Ferguson gets himself clear. Here comes Darcy Wilson. He's going to try and get it down to the bottom. It'll be interesting to see whether or not Baldwin tries to switch the lines now, whether or not he can find the drive continuously across the top. And at the moment, he's doing reasonable. He's managing to line it up, still finding pace. But for now, it is still Cole Ferguson's control over this race.
There's so much fresh clay down there, you can see it, and it looks like there's not much loose clay on top of it either, so it is a prime racing surface at the moment. Battle for the transfers between Hadley Boyce and Robert Crawley. The 727 there holding on to fourth. But it doesn't look like Crawley's going to make much of a statement here. If anything, Boyce is catching up to the rest of them there. Ferguson now solidly in the lead, and Baldwin now has to think about Darcy Wilson as well.
Well, here comes Brady Baldwin. He's doing actually a great job on that top rope. He's just managed to shut it down. Now he's starting to find some momentum. We'll come to the line. There'll be 2 more laps left to go from the heat. And Ferguson's starting to struggle. Brady Baldwin led the conclusion of that lap. There's 2 more laps left to run down the back straightaway. Now he's just about nearly getting clear when they get to the corner. Is he going to force the slide jump from Ferguson? Ferguson just cannot get the power put down. White flag in the air. Here comes Darcy Wilson. Baldwin's found the speed. He struggled in the first couple of laps from the top. Now it's Ferguson who's struggling. Baldwin takes heat number 5. Ferguson just barely hangs on. Wilson and Boyce, your transfer.
Good race in the end. It looked like Ferguson was getting the car a bit too sideways there in the mid-corner. Very interesting to see. That might give us some context for what's going to happen in the B and A mains. The C and B mains, rather. Crawley, Hobson, and Walker, they all take to the finish, but they're all going to have to join the upcoming C main, the starting grid here, of course, presented by Apex Civil Solutions Queensland. Nick Ryan and Nash Granger are your front row, with James Oliver and Bailey Leeson 3rd and 4th. Oliver, I think, will be sent to the back because his penalty carried over from his heat. Darcy Walker and Nick Mithen rounding out your top 6 there, with 7th place being Lachlan Mead. Jaden Russell and Oscar Ames are your last 2 cars there. And I'm not seeing any trace of Oscar Ames again, so it looks to me like we are not going to see anything from the 99 tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately for Amos. But on to that C main now. And Jaden Russell, if he's going to qualify for another feature, he's going to come all the way through. And just with his luck, I just don't know. Don't forget, James Oliver, for contact in the heats as well, will be sent to the rear. He will have to drive his way from the back.
Certainly will. It's going to be a tough one. 2 more laps have been added to the race distance for the C main. 12 laps ready to get going here as they give some space to the iRacing pace truck. Pulling into the infield of the track. Nick Ryan now pulls away and gets our C main going. A good start there from Nick Ryan. Nash Granger and Darcy Walker fighting over 2nd spot. It is solid for the rest of the field as well. Lachlan Mead and Bailey Leeson side by side for the 4th and final spot in the transfer. Oh goodness, it's getting rather close. More drivers running high for the 4 as there goes Jaden Russell, gets spun around again, and that's going to be the end of his night. James Oliver also involved there. Not the first time those 2 have come together.
Yeah, unfortunately for the pair of them in the heats was how that one ended, and that's how James Oliver ended up here instead of in the feature. It's going to come a cropper yet again. 4 laps in to the C main. And the first of the mains here tonight sees at the moment Darcy Walker with the lead. Nick Ryan still trying to rip the top, and he has moved his way up there and stuck it to the top. Lachlan Mead is doing reasonable at the moment, but he's stuck on the bottom. Can't find some drive over 3 and 4. Nash Granger finds some speed. I tell you what, all of a sudden the bottom's starting to go away again, Reese, because I tell you what, Lachlan Mead is going to be struggling to hang on to that spot, and he's just stuck down there. He can't find a hole to get back to the top.
Such interesting track evolution that we're seeing here. For the moment, it looked like it really moved down to the bottom, but the moment you start seeing that slick line start to form, it goes away again. So now I think sort of upper middle might be the best place to be, unless, of course, there's some extra clay that's been thrown up top, and it seems that Nick Ryan's using some of that. Oh, he almost gets ahead there of Darcy Walker. Contact into turn 1.
Yeah. And, well, he used all of the extra clay, and then he used up a little bit of Darcy Walker as well. Final a couple of laps now, 3 to go as they cross the start-finish line once more. Down the back straightaway, Bailey Leeson's got some damage. He's going to go into the fence hard. He's caught on the outside barrier. Nick Mithen went on him, and he's stuck on the fence. Nothing he can do. He will be done for the day. He did tag the wall a couple times. Mithen got up there and got into him. There's 5 cars left running on the lead lap, and I get the feeling that Nick Mithen might cop himself a penalty for that one, which means it's going to be those 4 cars who'll get out of the C main. But in what order will be the big question? To the flag, that is going to be it. Darcy Walker takes your C main from Nick Ryan and Nash Granger. And Lachlan Mead to round out the transfers. Penalty coming the way of Nick Mithen's 44, so he wouldn't have transferred either way.
Yeah. Shame for Mithen, also for Jaden Russell and Bailey Leeson as well, who ended their races being crashed into. A huge shame for them. But Walker, Ryan, Granger and Mead will transfer into the B main now, presented, of course, by Simrap Market. Thank you to Simrap Market for sponsoring the B main, of which Nathan Norman has your pole. Matthew Stables alongside with Cameron De Bruin and Hayden Vickers on row 2. Rob Crawley and Daniel Grimshaw, 5th and 6th, with 7th belonging to the number 78 of John Schultz. Got Thomas Mitchell for company alongside. The top 10 rounded out by Bentley Summers and Brenton Hobson, with our top 4 from the C main behind Darcy Walker, Nick Ryan, then Nash Granger and Lachlan Mead to make 14 cars over 15 laps here at Limaland Motorsports Park. And we were talking off the air, Scott, about just how many drivers in this field we did not expect to be here. There's more than a few here who would have had a shoe-in at a feature slot if it weren't for qualifying.
Yeah, I think the big thing is, I did mention it, is that qualifying sort of clustered groups of drivers together. Like you saw probably Clayton Davies a bit off the pace. He was down in terms of his qualifying results, and that sort of shuffled him into a heat where there was sort of a really, really stacked heat. And the thing is, when you see that sort of a result, all of a sudden your 5th place guy can sit there and go, I did really, really well in that heat. And yet on any other night, he would have qualified straight into the feature. So I think we've just seen that clumping tonight. It comes as, a piece of qualifying results, but also the nature of the track as well. The racing's been brilliant. Slide jobs have been awesome. The crossovers as well, people willing to let that slider go, set it up and get the crossover done. I think that's just the nature of Limaland, isn't it? The racing's just been brilliant tonight, and we're only into the B main.
Yeah, absolutely. And the drivers have been chasing that track evolution all night long, and none of them quite seem to have it figured out. So that adds another fold to what's going to be happening here in the B main. Remember, the top 4 positions transfer through to the feature. Everyone else is going home. Nathan Norman goes to the start line and leads us away here, and that's a solid getaway from the number 96, but side by side for second. There goes Hayden Vickers trying up the inside. side of Matthew Stables. Stables protecting it. It is on for that transfer spot. Vickers now falls back into it, fighting Cameron De Bruin actually, and we're seeing drivers start to catch those tyres down low as well. I think that might have been Rob Crawley.
Yeah, they're trying to use all the racetrack that's available to them a little bit more. I think the big thing as well that's worthwhile pointing out is it's not necessarily the track evolving. I think it's drivers chasing the track and they just can't feel where the speed is going to be at any one moment. Matthew Stables now, he's all the way down on those tyres on the inside. He talked about it a couple laps ago, deeper in the field. Well, Stables has responded and he's starting to really find some speed. The difficulty at the moment is there's no grip on the corner exit. Getting the power down on the top, you want to carry the speed, you're all right through the middle of the corner, then you're going to lift off on the exit. That's where you're losing all the momentum.
Yeah, top line, they'll be running the wing a bit further back to cope with the greater amount of slick and more sliding that is possible. Meanwhile, down low, you want that rear wing a little further forward just to allow that rotation. But as you said, that does hurt corner traction out of the corners. There's been a coming together up the back. Lachlan Mead and Bentley Summers apparently having something go wrong for them. Stables as well, looking very unstable here. Firing up the inside on corner exit is Nathan Norman. Can he get this done and get the lead back?
Yeah, he's going to have a crack at him, got to the inside, lost a little bit of momentum. Now he's going to try and turn and point the car, tries to get that right rear underneath the slick on corner exit. Have a look at the dust starting to come off these tyres as well. Racetrack is dried out as there have been a whole bunch of sprint cars ripping it up from the heats through to the Alphabet, through the B main, through a couple laps left to run now. There'll be 5 of them as they cross the start-finish line this time by Stables from Norman. Dan Grimshaw's got his way to 3rd spot, and Grimshaw's starting to make a whole bunch of time on Nathan Norman at this point in time. Vickers starts to see those guys fighting, and he closes back in. Throw him under a blanket for the top 4.
Bentley Summers gets a black flag from race control. I've also noticed that we lost Darcy Walker a few laps ago as well. I went back and checked. It was contact with Nick Ryan, who's currently down in 9th place at the back of this pack. Thomas Mitchell and Brenton Hobson trading spots for 7th place, and Hobson trying to fight back as Rob Crawley enters the picture. Oh, the number 5 goes around and Rob Crawley is out of the B main. Thomas Mitchell sliding around as well. It's almost going to be 1 lap to go here. Stables and Norman are still fighting over that lead. Dan Grimshaw and Hayden Vickers keeping in the top 4 here, and the white flag, the checkered flag. Stables just beating Nathan Norman to the line. What an incredible finish that was. Dan Grimshaw and Hayden Vickers will be absolutely ecstatic to get into the feature.
Yeah, Hayden Vickers will be wrapped with that one. Matty Stables from Nathan Norman put on a stellar battle out front. They backed him up into Dan Grimshaw, and Hayden Vickers will get you transfer. Cameron De Bruin from Brenton Hobson. First of the drivers to go home, Nick Ryan, John Schultz, Nash Granger, and Tom Mitchell to round out the 10 in the B main. Then from there on back, we throw it over. Nick Ryan with the penalty. Bentley Summers also penalised. Rob Crawley and Darcy Walker also out for tonight's racing. And we're over to the spinny wheel.
We are indeed. Got Brady Baldwin joining us here and bringing us in. The first driver that we will have is the number 57 of Craig Dunn. Now, we're deciding positions 6 to 10 here. So, Craig, I think you'll obviously be hoping for a high position, but what are you thinking, high line or low?
I'm probably going to go the low line, I'd say, mate, to be honest.
Well, hard luck, it seems. It looks like you're outside 3rd row. 6th place for you.
Not a drama. Thanks, mate.
All right. Number 57 starting in 6th, and then we get Blake Walsh in here too. Now, Blake, this is going to be an interesting start for you. Limaland, famously brutal track, but the racing's been good so far.
Yeah, I think just take it as it comes. It'll slicken off, obviously, so we'll adapt for that and we'll get after it.
Yep, we certainly are. Well, let's see then where the spinny wheel sits you here. Choice of 7th to 10th, and we'll be hoping, obviously, that that blue is not where it falls, but it looks like it will be. 10th for you.
That'll do. Better than last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Blake Walsh will take his preparations there as we welcome Steve Duff to the commentary box. It's been a great night for you, Steve, all starting and qualifying with that fantastic lap.
Yeah, no, it's been better than expected.
Limaland obviously smiling on you today. Well, 7, 8, and 9 are the positions you have to choose from, and it looks like it's going to fall on 9th. You're going to be inside row 5.
Oh, thank you.
Steve Duff will begin his preparations now. Hello to Clayton Davies. Well, Clayton, this is going to be an interesting one for sure. Basically, your choices, inside or outside. Which one do you think would be better?
Probably outside, at least, and I got somewhere to go.
Very true. Very, very true. Well, 50-50 chance whether or not you start low or high here on the 4th row of the grid. And as it slows down, it just gets you into 8th.
Sweet, I'll take that.
So there you go then. That means that Cole Ferguson is going to be starting in 7th spot. Not too bad, all things considered. It's been quite an active night so far.
Yeah, no, 7th. All right. Yeah, happy with that. Didn't think we were going to be that good going in, and we had a good race with Brady in our heat, and so yeah, we'll get after it. Shout out to the team and the boys and girl downstairs watching it at the airport. Let's get after it.
Yeah, Bogus built sprints. Cole Ferguson driving for. Now we move our way through to the top 5, and Tim Ryan, the biggest fan of the spinny wheel, is here with us.
I'm feeling really optimistic.
Oh my god! Oh no!
You shouldn't miss anything, Tim. What do you think you are?
Is it actually 5th?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's actually 5th. Yeah.
Oh, you guys are gonna. I swear to God, you guys are rigging this thing up.
Oh well,
I think
Tim.
it's broken. Oh, I hate life. Seriously, Brady. The world first took on me. Oh, I hate this thing, Brady. What's it going to cost?
Oh, good Lord. Well, Tim, regardless, you're going to be starting on the inside row, so here's hoping it's a stable race for you from there.
Yeah, I think it's actually going to be really tough to pass, to be honest. Not with the track being reset or not. I just think it's going to be really challenging before 10. So should be a bit chaotic though, so it'll be pretty interesting.
All right, best of luck, Tim. We can welcome Joel Berkeley into the fold. Now,
Hello.
Joel, you gave us some lotto numbers last week at Williams Grove. I tried them. I tried.
And it worked.
I tried your lotto numbers and they didn't work.
Oh my god!
You got the. Oh god. Okay. We can try round 2. You got any lotto numbers for us?
No, we'll let you try it again. So.
Oh man. Joel Berkeley on pole position in the Ohio Open, presented by DM Simtography. Next up, Paul Bryan in at the number 42. Great heat win for you, Paul, and secured yourself a top 4 spot at the very least.
Yeah, no, it was a good run. It was the best run I've had so far this season, so I'm happy with that.
And I'm sure you'll be happy with 3rd as well. That's the position you're going to be starting in.
Thank you.
Number 42 leaves the box, and into the box comes the number 1, Ethan Winter. Going to be 2nd or 4th for you today, and it looks like 2nd is going to be it. You're on the front row with Berkeley.
Yep, just hopefully I can pick Joel's start and keep my nose clean. It's pretty important these next 2 weeks. You know, the smaller ball rings, like keep myself, my nose clean and don't get into wrecks, and hopefully carry the lead out into bigger tracks.
All right, best of luck, Ethan, and best of luck to you too, Brady. With that, you have secured 4th place for the start.
Yeah. First off, shout out to Cole for that awesome heat race. All the heat races have been really good tonight, but that was really fun. You know, side by side all race, and shout out to Damon at DM Simtography for all he does for the series, and also sponsoring this round, and Wide Open Clothing, of course, sponsoring the series, and hopefully it's a good race. And probably won't talk to you later because I'll surely make a mistake and finish 15th or something, but see what happens. As long as it's a good race, I'm happy.
Yeah, we're happy too, Brady. Thanks very much for joining us, and then we can move things swiftly along here. Scott, looks like no track reset for this feature, which is going to make things rather difficult for the drivers starting further back. They'll be greeted with quite the dust cloud.
Yeah, definitely a big old dust cloud. That track has just gotten quite ripped up. The other thing to note is about the only clay that is still reasonable is all the way at the bottom. Now, there are some lanes through the middle of the track. Have a look as we get over here from the up high perspective. Keep your eye on that really dark line in the middle of 1 and 2. What that is a little bit of the loam that's been tossed into the middle of the racetrack. What loam is? It's that dusty dirt that's scattered across the top of the racetrack. That stuff is not actually all that good for grip. It just sits on the tires, it spins up, it'll bite initially and then bog down. What you're looking for is the dirt right next to that loam. See how there's a lighter color, but it's not a shiny color. That is where all the grip is. That's a really nice grippy kind of dirt, but without all the extra grit. Because what happens with the extra grit? You flick dirt everywhere. That's actually not fast. It's you spend a lot of energy flicking dirt up and into the air. Then you got the shiny stuff. What that is sand and clay that has had all the grit taken off the top of it. But the problem there is it's hard packed clay. It looks very similar to asphalt. You can actually get hard packed clay that's got rubber bit into it. And that actually doesn't, it's when the rubber starts to bite into it, that's when the grip comes back to it. But whilst it's shiny like that, it's just like skating right across the top. You chuck any water on top of that, it is like ice. And I can tell you that from experience because the home motocross track I grew up racing on was bulk clay. And it was not fun to get around in the mud, Reese, by the way. It just stuck to everything. Cleaning your bike after a weekend at the motorbike track was horrid where I'm from.
Oh, God, yeah. I can't imagine how much cleaning the drivers are going to have to do in the feature here presented by Wide Open Clothing. Berkeley and Winter, your top two, with Paul Bryan and Brady Baldwin, your second row. Tim Ryan and Craig Dunn on row 3. Ferguson and Davies, row 4, with Steve Duff and Blake Walsh rounding out your top 10.
Yeah. From there on back, we're going to get into the 11th spot of Zach Rattray White from Bradley Oldfield on 11th and 12th. 13th and 14th is Matthew Gowans from Daniel Boyd on row number 7. Darcy Wilson and Colin Bokus are going to be out of the 8th row of the grid, down to 16th spot. Eddon Smith from Kobe Noonan, and 19th and 20th is Paul Ward from Hadley Boyce.
Yep. Matthew Stables, Nathan Norman, Daniel Grimshaw and Hayden Vickers round out your field. As they tour around the second formation lap here, shout out to Damon Mulqueen, DM Simtography. All about capturing the highs and lows of their passion, capturing the triumphs, turmoil and memorable moments in a realistic aspect in outstanding quality. Check out DM Simtography on Facebook, title sponsor of this 11th round of the ODSE Australian Sprint Car Championship Series. Joel Berkeley preparing to lead us away for the start of the feature. And it's going to be a huge run from Ethan Winter to try and get up against him. Power down, and we are live at Limaland for round 11. The feature is go, and Berkeley's immediately to the bottom trying to work that grip as best he can. Get it a bit more sideways, rotate it through, and you are out of the corner in the lead. Ethan Winter doesn't seem to have much response here. He's trying to build up some momentum up the top, but it doesn't seem like there's much grip out there. Bradley Baldwin, Tim Ryan and Paul Bryan are rounding out your top 5, and Bryan's already starting to look at making some moves.
Yeah, Tim Ryan is really trying to rip that top at the moment, but Paul Bryan is stuck in that middle groove because they were just banked up on the outside. There were 3 cars back to back to back. There was a tiny amount of grip in a small groove that he found in the middle of that one at the moment, but it's starting to go away from him. He slipped back to 5th spot, but finally found room to slot into the top. Have a look at the field that is still too wide back outside the 10. It's going to be Clayton Davies, who's all the way down in 8th spot. He's still trying to get through on Blake Walsh as they fight for 7th spot.
Yeah, good battle there between Walsh and Davies. Craig Dunn getting amongst it as well. And Craig will break back into the top 10 there. Bradley Oldfield trying to hold on there as the caution is out. We have our first caution of the day, and it looks like it's for Steve Duff. A great night up until this point has just had its first big blow for the number 15. Fortunately, it's still within the first 10 laps of the feature, so we can come in and get a fast repair. But yeah, that's not how Steve Duff would have wanted to start his final race of the night. It was contact with Rattray White.
And Rattray White was clear, and he tried to slot back into that top and just feed in where he could, and unfortunately there was no room to get in on that top lane, and Steve Duff is the guy that is going to pay the price for that one. But I think that battling back at about 7th to 10th spot. Remember, Clayton Davies had to start a long way down the field and sort of cut his way through, and he's in championship contention. So have another look at this one from Rattray White. So he rotates through. He's clear on the middle of the corner, but the run's coming from the top. He just missed it. Missed getting back into that top corner.
Yeah, you can see that he was powering out very nicely, but he was powering out over the slick, and that sent him up higher than he probably would have wanted. So, far from ideal for himself and for Steve Duff, but the green flag is back out and we get the race restarted here. Berkeley continuing to hold on in the lead, and he is all the way down the bottom. He's barely touching the slick at all. He's showing how you drive a track that has evolved to the point where it's absolutely difficult to drive in the middle stages. But there's the comeback from Ethan Winter. Great run around the outside, and it looks like Tim Ryan's going to try and follow him through. They are bumping the wall with the right rear, and Ryan cuts underneath Berkeley to get into second place. There's contact further back there. Looks like the 97 of Blake Walsh and Paul Bryan there coming together briefly.
Yeah, they just barely tangled wheels off of 1 and 2, and now they're going to try and feed back in. It's actually the crossover line that's really where the speed is at the moment. You sort of want to turn the car down and point it at the exit, drive it out nice and straight. I just saw Blake Walsh crash into the outside barriers off of 1 and 2, and have a look at the slide jumps through the middle of the corner. It is very, very small amounts of room. Paul Bryan finally gets done by Clayton Davies, and now Oldfield's going to crack back onto his inside as well. We're already through 11 laps in this feature of the 35 race, and we're into the middle third of it now.
Yeah, we are indeed. Saw the number 5 there, Darcy Wilson, making a very poor run out of the corner, and he's fallen down to 9th place, but may very well start coming back here. Bradley Oldfield holding on in the number 51, with Cole Ferguson down low here in the number 81 machine. And Ferguson is trying to find a way past, but he's not going to get that opportunity. Yellow's out again. Nathan Norman, Hadley Boyce, and is that Dan Grimshaw as well?
Yeah, it is Dan Grimshaw missing the front wing. He's immediately going to get back into the pit lane and get a fast repair if he can. Pit window's been closed, so anyone that's diving into the lane...
They're done.
Yep.
Ah, that's a shame. The fast repair window closed just a lap or so ago. Now, how on earth did this incident even start? It looks like a checkup ahead of them there. Hayden Vickers and the number 27 of Paul Ward. Yeah, it was just a checkup that went awry.
Yeah, it was, and that's the problem, is it happened 2 cars ahead, and you're just feeding in there at speed and relying on the guys that are ahead of you, and there's generally not much that you can do when the checkup happens that quickly as well. So I think one of those drivers managed to get out of the pits before taking their fast repair, and we'll continue in this one. I think it was Grimshaw on the back. This one you can just see Grimshaw is just firing in there. Once you're committed to the corner, there's not a huge deal you can do.
Yeah, sad thing is I don't think there was anyone really at fault for that, and it's just completely destroyed the races of 3 drivers. Well, we'll see how many more suit speed replays we'll be getting over the course of this race, as the caution period is over and Ethan Winter's the one who leads us away this time. Berkeley still trying to work the inside line, but you can see that it's proving very difficult to manage. He swaps up to the top to try and follow Ryan and Winter along. Baldwin and Davies holding on as, man, that's a big wreck there. It looks like Kobe Noonan falling down the order. Paul Ward as well. Something happened, and it was massive.
Got a bit as well.
So
that says maybe at the back end of the 10, so which is right around where a bunch of those guys were actually running. So
yeah, so he retakes his position under caution. I did say it wouldn't be too long before we get our next replay. Big thanks to Suit Speed for lending their support to the series through this. But yeah, another caution out, and we're still not quite halfway through this feature, so keeping an eye on Walshy there. That's contact with Oldfield. Just a little bit of a bounce off, and that caused a huge pile-up.
Yeah, it did. Oldfield's been handed the penalty for that one as well, which, yep, by rights, correct call. And we'll be back under green here in just a few moments. Be very, very curious to see whether Tim Ryan can start to do something here about Ethan Winter at the front.
Yeah, He's been building up to something like this practically all year. It has not been Tim Ryan's season 2025. It's been perhaps his lowest points total that we've ever seen from him. But we'll see if he can keep it in the fight here for the win versus the man who took the championship away from him last season. They are running well here as the race gets back underway. But the yellow flag's out immediately again. And it looks like Cole Ferguson might have been one of the drivers involved in that. Restarts have been changed to single file, and it was Ferguson who spun around there. It was contact with Darcy Wilson down low that brought that out.
And this is probably just going to be issues in the pack and going racing with this one. Unfortunately, you can see Grimshaw's missing his nose wing just ahead from the previous caution as well. And Sud Speed replay. It just wasn't quite enough space. He was expecting him to trend a touch higher. That didn't happen. No damage at least. And he is still out there and in this one. But now he'll have to come from a long way further back. Overtaking starting to become a lot more difficult too with the amount of slick. Have a look at how little tackiness there is left in that racetrack now. There is a tiny sliver of the groove in the corners. So you're going to see cars just effectively driving on that hard pack now with no right rear to sort of feed into it.
Yeah, I wonder who's prepared best for that. That's the funny thing about dirt oval racing. You got to try and predict what the other drivers are going to do, but the amount of sliding that is elemental to this form of racing means it's so hard to predict. Well, single file restart, and Ethan Winter gets a clean getaway from Tim Ryan and Joel Berkeley. Davies still holding onto the top four. Berkeley just tapping the wall there in between turns 2 and 3. Side by side, round the outside goes Blake Walsh on Paul Bryan. Darcy Wilson still stuck down low in the number 5. He's still sticking to that low line. Oh, yeah.
Slider, just said by Tim Ryan, and he did manage to get the car ahead, but Ethan Winter saw it coming, and he turned it back down the racetrack. Stole it from him. Half race distance now achieved, and now Winter's going to make a mistake as they get to 3 and 4. Ryan's going to get right there. Here comes another slider. Does he try and get down low? Does he clear him? No, he doesn't. And he'll just be forced to watch along.
Yeah, this is some of the fire in Tim Ryan's belly that we've been missing this season. He's getting great runs off of turn 4, and he puts up the inside at turn 1 again, but Ethan Winter once more cuts underneath him. It's all about sort of almost riding the wall through turn 4 for Tim Ryan. He's going to trade places back, and this time get up high and maintain the momentum. He has the race lead just in time for the next caution to come out.
Yeah, he's now going to get the opportunity to control the next restart as well. And there's an issue for Paul Ward as he's involved in this one. But Tim Ryan finally gets the Altus Engineering number 98 to the point. And maybe a change of fortunes for him. And there's Ward just getting into it in the middle of things and maybe losing the top wing. And then bounces off Bradley Oldfield. And then he's just a missile at that point, isn't he?
Yeah, or a mobile chicane. Take your pick. And Tim Ryan almost came up on him as well. The caution saved him there, I believe. Yeah, problem for Ward was it all started when he hit the wall coming out of turn 4. That sent his car sliding. Then he got into it with Craig Dunn. Then Bradley Oldfield trying to make a recovery, tapped him in the rear. And it just got even worse from there for Paul Ward.
Yeah, unfortunately for him. And I believe we're still at single file on the restarts as well. So the pace car is going to feed in. They get down to 3 and 4. The slick line has built. Tim Ryan got the lead. Can he hang on to it? What does Ethan Winter do from P2? And how does Berkeley start to fade his way back into this? Have a look at Brady Baldwin as well. He snuck his way into P4 in the running order of this one as well. So it's all left to play for as they get into the final 12 laps.
Yep, this was the perfect time for Tim Ryan to get to the lead, and this is where he is most comfortable. Every time I've seen Tim Ryan in the lead of a feature, he just doesn't look back. He jets away in the clear air and is able to dominate from there. That's what's defined a lot of his championships, but it's not entirely over yet. We have 9 laps remaining when they cross the line next, and the fight is on here. On board and firing it down the inside is Joel Berkeley. Big slider there on Ethan Winter, but it's unsuccessful and he remains in third. Let's see if Berkeley can get some of that fire back himself.
Yeah, and the big thing is that Ethan Winter managed to maintain the momentum. Now he starts to rip it down the back straight away. Can Joel Berkeley just break him, just crack him a little bit, because Winter is starting to fade away. The real thing about Berkeley is how good has he been the last couple of weeks, and now Winter finds the barrier. They get into each other. They both get away from it. Here comes Brady Baldwin. He's looking for a standout podium finish as well. There's going to be another 6 laps left to run. Oh, Berkeley in the fence!
Oh, but he gets back on the track.
Winter.
Oh, that's created a whole host of chaos there. Who on earth is holding on to second now? This is ridiculous.
If Baldwin's got it, it's going to be Paul Bryan from Clayton Davies. And remember that championship fight as well. Davies has managed to cut his way back through to 4th. Now he's in the top row. Paul Bryan wants a podium. Darcy Wilson wants one as well. We said it's a mixed up, shuffled up night. That started in the heats. There's going to be more of that in the feature when we get there. Baldwin from Wilson 2nd and 3rd, but Tim Ryan, forget it. Without a yellow flag, it's going to be daylight and lights out for Tim Ryan. A couple more laps left to run. Stables, Clayton Davies is driven back to 6th. What's happened to Winter? Still recovering in 8th, so he's still out there, but Joel Berkeley's now outside the 10.
Oh, that was a huge bit of contact between them, and that might define the championship fight. Clayton Davies is now ahead of Ethan Winter on track. So there's a lot of potential for mix-ups in the points standings here as the melee continues for one more lap. Tim Ryan taking the white flag, and now he will come across the line to take victory at Limaland. A fantastic job from the number 98. Brady Baldwin and Darcy Wilson round out your top 3. Tell you what, I saw Darcy Wilson all race long just minding his own business down low. That worked out for him.
Yep, just kept himself a nice clean race. And Tim Ryan, I think the big thing for Tim here, it was just clinical, right? He waited, he sent one slider, he cracked Ethan Winters, and he just set sail. He only needed to send one. And when Tim Ryan's at his best, that's what he looks like. When he has to send reply sliders, when he's got to try and hang on to it, that's where it gets technical, it gets tricky. But he just sent one today, and that's all that he needed.
Yeah, that's the Tim Ryan that I know and love. Well, congratulations to the Altus Esports machine for taking victory here ahead of Baldwin and Wilson. Stables and Bryan round out your top 5. Great points haul for them. Rattray White rounding out your top 6. Ethan Winter and Clayton Davies, your championship top 2 coming into this round, 7th and 8th. Matthew Gowans and Daniel Boyd round out your top 10.
Outside the 10, back through 11th, it's going to be that of Ayrton Smith from Bradley Oldfield, who had dramas in the middle of that feature. Colin Bocas from Joel Berkeley with the damage dropped all the way back to 14th spot. Steve Duff, you thought he might have been on for a great night with such a strong qualifying performance. 15th spot was all he could manage. Hayden Vickers, Cole Ferguson and Blake Walsh, both of those guys managing damage later on in that feature. Craig Dunn from Daniel Grimshaw round out the 20.
And Kobe Noonan, a lap down in 21st. Paul Ward retires. So does Hadley Boyce and Nathan Norman, both going out early on in the running. And point that I want to make about Matthew Stables, he's also the hard charger. He started in 21st and elevated himself up to 4th. A magnificent job from the number 46. But for the moment, it's all about the number 98. Tim Ryan takes victory here at Limaland. Must feel good to be back on the top step, Tim.
Yeah, I honestly did not expect that, to be honest. I knew I had probably the best pace, but just very hard to make a pass here. I haven't watched back, but I think when I said Ethan, he must have got into the wall or something, because it's very hard to complete a pass against someone as good as Ethan. It's pretty easy just to cut back and go back by.
Yeah, certainly is, but ripping the top was the way to go here. I noticed when you were setting up that move on Ethan, you were almost bouncing the right rear off the wall there, just riding the ragged edge.
Yeah, I could see it the first 10, 15 laps he was using quite a lot of his tyres as well. When I was in 4th place, I was rolling around, so I knew by that mid-race had a bit better car and just a bit better tyre life as well. So I knew I wouldn't need to push as hard at the start because it'd be very hard to get the pass done. So yeah, all in all, happy with the result. Had a pretty dismal season, so it's nice to get one on the board.
Yeah, excellent points haul here at Limaland. Tim, anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, you guys for the broadcast. Brady for putting on the league. I didn't even know if I'd make it tonight. He just got back from being overseas, so Yeah, I think Kokomo in 2 weeks, so we'll see how we go. Cheers.
We shall indeed. See you later, Tim. And then we can bring things through for our series admin, Brady Baldwin, getting second place. Stood by with Scott.
Brady, I'm just wondering how much fist pumping and yahooing and carry on went around for that one. It's been a long time between drinks for you, mate, but P2, you got to be absolutely wrapped with that.
Yeah, very happy. Did not expect it whatsoever. Like I said in the redraw, thought I'd back it up like I usually do every week. But yeah, don't know what it was. Just car was pretty decent. I definitely wasn't as good as Tim, Ethan, and Joel, and it was pretty unfortunate what happened to Joel. Just a simple mistake. It got pretty of a gnarly cushion towards the end of the race. So it's very hard to run, and I backed it down quite a bit towards the end of the race. And then, yeah, those two got together, and I think a little bit of netcode when I was trying to get away from them into Ethan and sort of mess them guys up. But, I mean, it's just part of the deal, I guess. So coming in second, probably deserved fourth or fifth there. But, you know, when a little bit of luck goes my way finally, definitely take it.
Mate, in terms of things, I mean, it's been an average season. It's been a reasonable season. That sort of just sugarcoats it. At the end of the day, this is why we go sim racing. It's for all these really, really cool, flashy results. But the big thing for me has got to be just, you know, you go racing, you put a lot of work into setting something like this up. And when it goes this well, when you get to sit back and you celebrate with some of the best in the country, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, to be honest, it's more rewarding as a league owner that it's good racing more than my individual results. So any individual result I do get is just a cherry on top. And seemed like the racing was, you know, pretty good. I know we're fighting pretty hard up the front. I seen Matty Stables drove 21st to 4th on the bottom. So, you know, some big movers throughout the field. But yeah, you're right. The season's been pretty average. I think my best result's been 7th or something this year. So we've had speed at times, just haven't been able to convert and usually go backwards in the feature. So yeah, I'll take it when I can get it. I'll probably be out in the C main at Kokomo in 2 weeks' time. So if there's anything to take from the year, it's certainly tonight.
Mate, as the series starts to point towards the finishing flags, who would you like to give a thank you for getting it done here tonight?
Well, obviously, thanks to you guys for everything you guys do, putting on fantastic broadcasts, world class every single round. So thank you, Liam, Brad, and Damon for all they do in race control, running the event. So I can, you know, drive in the series and get results like this once in a blue moon. So big shout out to those guys. Wide Open Clothing for backing us, sponsoring the series, and obviously Damon again at Simtography for sponsoring the round. All our SSR sponsors, the Speedway Shop, Watercraft Performance Center, Works Racing Components, Simtography, and obviously congrats Tim on his win. Glad he could sort of get one this year. I knew it would come eventually, and Darcy on third place run, and we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks.
Congratulations to Brady Baldwin, who finishes out a second spot here tonight. Royce, though, is on standby with tonight's feature third place finisher. It's the number 5 machine of Darcy Wilson.
It certainly is. Darcy, you must be over the moon with that result. I mentioned you were minding your business down low early on. Did you want to go up high at any point?
Not really. I kind of like just rolling the middle to the bottom in the sprint car. I'm not actually that good at running the top in there, so I kind of just try to be more consistent than try to go for a big result just ripping the wall. So I think it paid off early. I think I kept my nose clean, stayed out a bit of stuff, and then obviously that incident happened towards the end there with Joel and Clayton and Ethan, and everything kind of just went my way there, and the seas parted ways, and actually just got to the front, and I think I was 7th before that lap, and then I came out 3rd, so everything just went my way on that lap.
Yeah, it must have been some pretty high stakes, high heart rate stuff trying to white knuckle your way through that melee.
Yeah, I didn't know what way to go, bottom, top, middle. They all the cars kind of bounced out of my way, and somehow made it through.
Well, It looks like with that result, our live championship standings readout is showing you as 11th in the championship. So a fair whack there at Limaland. Kokomo is up next in 2 weeks' time. It's another pretty short bull ring, but a few differences to Limaland. You think you can carry through some of your success there as well?
I haven't raced a sprint car at Kokomo for a long time, so I really don't know what to expect. I don't really have any expectation, to be honest. So, no, we'll just roll in there and just keep doing what we're doing. And I think I'm definitely stronger on the smaller tracks. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that. And I think it's 360s as well, which I definitely prefer over the 410s.
Well, it worked out for you here at Limaland. It may very well do next time, Darcy. Congratulations again. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, just like to thank all the boys over at Ulick Simsport, Tinder, Australian Racing Products, Hagen Cardwell, Joel, Brad. It was unfortunate for Harry to miss out tonight. I think his race hauler broke down, so that was really unfortunate. But yeah, and also thanks to Braggy and his team at ODSE. And yourself and your crew for putting on a great broadcast.
Well, Darcy Wilson has a lot to celebrate here today. That is going to conclude our run through Limaland. Here's the championship standings with one drop round applied. Ethan Winter still leading over Clayton Davies by 8 points. Oldfield ahead of Van der Wacker. It's been a successful night there for the number 51 in spite of the issues that he suffered. And that's going to be the initial one drop championship standings. When we apply two drops, well, we can see that Ethan Winter is a lot further ahead of Davies. This is going to turn things very interesting. Coming into the final third of the season, we have 18 rounds, and the next of which is round number 12. Kokomo Speedway, Scott. It's a place that I always enjoy coming to, and well, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to go there again.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm actually going to have a cherry popped at least for this racetrack, because I don't think I've actually ever called a race from here. I don't think I've ever actually seen racing from here whatsoever. So it'll be unique for me. I'm going to be head down, bum up, and making notes and learning as much as I possibly can. So for the drivers, though, they say bull ring, and the bull ring racing tonight, that certainly worked out really, really well. So that's got me excited for next week.
It's got me excited as well. I hope it's got all you excited out there as well. Whichever platform you've come from, we thank you very much for watching. A big thanks to DM Simtography presenting the Ohio Open here at Limaland. And a big thanks to Wide Open Clothing and all the associated series sponsors for helping to put this series on. And of course, to the crew at ODSE for choosing us here at SimSpeed TV to bring you the incredible action here. I'm Reese Gardner, Scott Rankin alongside me in the comms box, Jake Kennedy behind the scenes. We'll see you next time.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.